Alright, what's up guys? My name is Zach, and for the last week I've been driving the 2026 Hyundai Sonata Hybrid Limited. Up front is a 2.0 liter inline 4 as well as a hybrid system, and down below is a 6-speed automatic transmission. Now I am super excited to be making this video here today because I've spent the last not only week driving the Sonata, but I also took it on a mini road trip. That's actually where I am now, and I'll talk about that later. But I've spent a lot of time behind the wheel of the Sonata, and I have to say I'm pretty happily impressed, so I'm excited to share with you why that is. But if you'd like to submit your own vehicle and have it reviewed here on the channel, you can head on over to my website, zackpradel.com/submit. It's a quick and easy submission form. It takes under a minute to fill out, and I come out to you. And if you'd like to see all my videos weeks or sometimes months in advance, you can head on over to my Patreon for only $5 a month. But let's get back to that hybrid system. Well, it consists of an electric motor and the gasoline 2-liter. It makes about 192 horsepower all said and done, which isn't great. This is not a quick car in a straight line. However, it's not meant to be. Where it does excel is in the miles per gallon. On this little road trip I'm on, I was able to get an average of 41 miles to the gallon. That's a pretty good number for a vehicle like this. Now, it is certainly helped out because you can drive it in EV mode under certain circumstances when I was in drive-thrus or in my neighborhood. Right now, I'm in EV mode. I'm going 20 miles an hour and I'm in full EV mode. That's a big benefit. If you have a big neighborhood that takes you a little bit of time to get to the main street, you're going to be able to use electricity that entire time. That is very, very nice. Like I said, paired to it is a 6-speed automatic transmission. It is not an eCVT. It is not a traditional CVT. It is a genuine 6-speed. It feels great, and I have a lot of trust in it. It's not a dual clutch. It's not anything fancy. It shifts the gears. It does its one job, and I like that a lot. Last but not least, the Sonata is front-wheel drive. How does it feel to drive the Sonata? It feels great. The ride quality of this car is really, really supreme. Way better than what you would find in the Elantra or other equivalent products. I think part of that is due to the fact that it does have pretty chunky tires, and that really helps out the ride quality. You're technically riding on more air. But whatever it is, I like it. You know, it's nice and smooth, and this car is starting to dig into Genesis territory just a little bit. Is this eating Genesis's lunch? No, not yet. But it definitely, it's operating in the same area. Visibility's good. Like I said, ride quality good. It's just down on power, but that's not why you buy a vehicle like this. With that stuff out of the way, let's talk about the interior. Well, in front of me, I have a completely digital gauge cluster. Now, this is a pretty highly customizable gauge cluster, all things considered. You could do different colors and themes and gauge layouts and information within that gauge cluster. So whatever you want to see, whatever you want to be reminded of as you drive, you can find that here in the Sonata's gauge cluster. On the steering wheel on the left, we do have our adaptive cruise control settings as well as our pages icon. And off to the right, we have our mode, skip track, volume, phone options. Off to the left, we do have a very nice wood accent, but then we have our climate control vent, gauge dimmer switch, and our 12-volt battery reset. I've never seen a button like this. This is a dedicated button for resetting the 12-volt battery, no longer pulling a terminal and waiting 30 minutes. You just hit a button. But then we have our traction control off, power parking brake, and our trunk release. And moving on to the door, we have our Bose speaker surrounded by 2 levels of memory seats, power mirrors, power locks, and power windows. Moving into the center, we get our infotainment display. This does have wireless Apple CarPlay and Android Auto. And beyond that, nothing really too exciting in here. This is what the backup camera looks like. It also does get a 360 camera, which is very nice. I would definitely expect that at the $40,000 price tag, so I'm happy to get it. But overall, pretty unremarkable, easy to use, and I like it. Down below, we have 2 climate control vents. We have a bunch of buttons for our radio, for home and seek and search and setup, things like that. And then we have our climate controls. Now, the climate controls are ran through a touch screen. Normally, I don't really like this. However, they have not been laggy. They have not been annoying to use. They've been very, very simple and straightforward, so I don't mind it here. Down below all that, we do have two USB-Cs, which I love the fact that you can use the USB-C either as a charger or as an input for the radio. They give you this option, and it actually changes the color of the port depending on which option you choose, which I think was actually pretty nice. And we also get a 12-volt outlet, we get a wireless charger down below, and then moving on to the center console, we have our drive mode select for Eco, My Drive, and Sport. We have our parking sensors on and off, auto holding brake on and off, and our camera button. Off to the right, we do have cup holders. We'll do a big friggin' bottle test. I don't know if there's a car that has ever passed the big friggin' bottle test more swimmingly than here in the Sonata Hybrid. It fits right in. There's a smaller cup holder for your smaller cups. There's a bigger cup holder for the big friggin' bottle. It accommodates everything, and it passes with flying colors. Then we do get a center console with nothing in it, and the seats. The seats are heated, ventilated, power, and memory, and they are enjoyable. On my longer drives, I wasn't getting stiff or uncomfortable. They were easy to put into a good position. Overall, they get a big thumbs up. However, speaking of thumbs up in seats, we do have back seats, so let's go do a back seat review. All right, getting in the back of the Hyundai Sonata. And as you can see, knees not hitting the seat in front of me, head's not hitting the ceiling in front of me. This is a good size sedan. And I can't say that about every Elantra I've ever been in or every Hyundai Accent I had ever been in, but the Sonata usually delivers in terms of space, and the 2026 Hybrid most certainly does. We do have a couple things. We have, of course, power windows here on the door, latch to get in and out, and we do have a sunshade. Very nice to see that. We have two climate control vents down here, as well as two USB-Cs. Very, very nice to see that as well. And we can come over here. We do get our center console that folds down. We get to enjoy our beautiful moonroof up at the top. And I think the biggest take home here is the fact that I fit in the back of a sedan in a very dignified way. If you're going to take clients out to lunch, you know, you're not cramming them in the back of your Veloster. This is, you know, a more dignified, regal sort of sedan experience that isn't really that common on the market anymore. And we'll talk more about that a little bit later on, but this is really, really nice. This is a great place to be in, and as a 5'11", not small guy, I fit. That's a huge win. Let's hop into the very back. We'll take a quick look at the trunk and cargo space, and then we'll talk about the looks. So coming around the back of the Sonata, we do have a button right there for the power-operated trunk. Absolutely love that feature. Not a whole lot of sedans get it. This is usually found on like luxury sedans like BMWs and Mercedes, but you get it here on the Hyundai Sonata. Once we are back here, nothing really to write home about. We have a very standard trunk. I don't see any outlets, any crazy lights or anything like that. We can pull this up and we get storage. We get our tire mobility kit, but unfortunately no spare tire found here in the Sonata Hybrid. So very, very simple. We can lock the vehicle with this button as well, or we could press it, one touch of the button, smoothly back down. Love that luxurious feature. Now we gotta talk about the looks, and I do like the look of the Sonata. I think it is subject to your own taste. I know people that find these hideous. I know people that find these to be works of art. Now I land somewhere in the middle. I think it does look fresh and modern, and that's really all that I care about for a car like this. If I'm gonna spend 40 grand on a brand new sedan, I want it to look like a $40,000 or more modern sedan. So I think it checks those boxes. I think it looks good. And the front end really reminds me of the van that we don't get here. Hyundai actually makes a van overseas in Korea. Rumor has it we might get it as a Chevy, but I won't get into it in this video. The front end really reminds me of that, so I'm kind of jealous of that. I think that's kind of cool. With all of that being said, let's get on to my final thoughts. What do I think driving the Hyundai Sonata for the last week? Well, I really enjoyed this experience. I was happily surprised by two things. First of all is the sheer luxury of this car. Not only its nice features like ventilated and heated seats, the wireless CarPlay, 360 camera, and all of that, but also just the way that it rides, the way that I sink into the seats, the way that it goes about, the way that it positions itself. And of course, the power-operated trunk doesn't hurt. The other way I was surprised really truly was with the fuel economy. Over 40 miles to the gallon is significant. And as someone that has a lot of commuting or does a lot of commuting, being able to drive in EV mode is great. Again, I'm in a parking lot getting ready to do some exterior footage, and I'm all in electric mode. There's no gas being burnt right now. And I know that might seem minimal, but say 10% of your drive is done in EV mode, and you spend $100 a month on gas, well, now you're spending $90. And over a year, that's $120 extra dollars in your pocket just because going through parking lots didn't require gas. Ounces make pounds, and so anywhere we can save fuel economy, I think that we should.
I do want to note too, I just got 400 miles of range for $20. Now gas is at $3 a gallon right now, but that is amazing.
And the Sonata is very good at that. It sort of picks its battles and says, let's be efficient here, let's use the gas here, things like that. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Huge thank you to Hyundai for letting me borrow their Sonata for the last week. Huge thank you to Drive Shop for facilitating the cleaning and delivery of this vehicle. And of course, the Midwest Automotive Media Association. But as the Midwest is doing what it does best and raining in January for some reason. Oh, God, I hate it here. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Don't forget to rate the video, comment on the video, and subscribe if you really liked it. I don't actually hate it here. I love the Midwest. Bye!